Time for the big conversation. An ordinary chat show with extraordinary people. The big conversation. Let's go.
It's just a bit, you know, it's not a huge amount of support here.
It's good for your
I was
posture.
saying I had the biggest back, but that one rut isn't the most supportive.
You look like you're sat quite
It's
upright
also
and straight.
cut quite far back. Look, it doesn't quite come out too far over here, so it's sort of propped me back up again. I don't have the best posture, so
Well, you might now.
room for improvement, I reckon.
So, welcome to the show, Ollie.
Thank you for having me.
Before we start talking about your career, before playing professional rugby as a child, what was your dream growing up? Was there something in particular that you really, wanted to do, or a job that you wanted to follow?
Not really. Like I don't think my path was too conventional. Actually, I didn't really like rugby. Didn't really want to play it. I wanted to play football the whole time, and my sports teacher, my PE teacher, as they're called, he said to me basically, he bribed me, which I don't think was too PC for a 12-year-old at school, but he actually said that I couldn't play football in the winter term if I didn't play rugby, because I didn't want to play rugby.
Okay.
And he probably forced me to play, so I was like, oh, okay, I've got to play rugby to play football. It's sort of like chicken and egg thing. So
Yeah.
I played rugby and just still didn't like it. Like a couple of months, like I didn't really buy into it really. I just wanted to kick the ball the whole time because I used to play football.
Yeah.
Or bounce it because I used to play a lot of basketball as well. And then my mates all really liked it, and I was one that didn't like it. And they went down to the local club and started playing at the local club. And because they all played rugby, I was like, oh shit, I've got to play rugby just to hang out with my mates. So that's really why I did it. And then after about a year, I was like, oh, not too bad at it. I'll stick at it.
Stick at it.
Yeah,
Well, it served you well.
Yeah, it's done well. And the winner at that age was that they used to have underage drinking at the bar at the local club.
Yeah.
So I could have and get a few beers at like 14 years old, which was a massive bonus.
So the only reason you play rugby is to get
it was a social, yeah.
underage drinks.
Yeah. At that point there was, yeah.
Right.
There was,
There's a motivation for everything.
yeah, your priorities change as your life progresses, but at that stage it was about the social, yeah, for sure.
As you were growing up as a teenager and playing rugby for local clubs, did you have any sort of part-time jobs or anything that you really hated or really loved?
Yeah, actually, well, I grew up in Cornwall, so there was obviously a massive, North Cornwall, so there's a massive seasonal tourist trade.
Yeah.
So winter, everyone would lock down and we'd do Sweet FA, like nothing was done in the winter. We'd surf if the water wasn't too cold, but generally was like Baltic, so we wouldn't go near the beaches. And then I used to live near the Camel Trail, so I used to hire bikes out to people. But I used to be, my first one, I went to quite a slick, large operation of a bike car, and they had some really sort of strict, quite extensive, I think unnecessary criteria and procedure for hiring bikes out in terms of paperwork and stuff. And I used to fuck it up daily, so I used to get shouted at 12, 13 years old. So I left there, I went to a more basic one, which served me really well for like 2 years, 3 years. And then I went to work in a meat chopping factory, for want of a better term.
Nice.
That's what it was, yeah. Which was over the road.
Bit of a career change.
Ray
from
Davis
renting bikes.
Meats Company, yes. And then on Fridays I used to go out in the vans with Ray and deliver all the food. So the proper budget jobs. There was nothing.
Jobs that really
flash.
helped you in your later life. I
Yeah,
imagine.
absolutely, yeah. Chopping up bacon and hiring out bikes, yeah, perfect.
Of course, then we need to talk about Bath Rugby, where you played for many years. What was the feeling of running out on the rec for your first professional home start? Can you just sort of sum it up in a nutshell for every fan that would want to know, I guess?
Yeah, sure. Well, there's probably two answers to that question. I think the first one was I shat myself. That was the first one.
Yeah.
Because I was 19 at the time.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, like all of the old school rugby players, all the rugby players that were playing for Bath at that point, like there was still quite an old school feeling. So classically, they weren't massively supportive. It was a case of, particularly at Bath, whereas if you're good enough, you're old enough and you get on with it. So not really the case now. Nowadays, senior players have a far more important role to nurture young players. So it wasn't the case when I first started. So I've kind of felt like I was out on my own a little bit. So that was just one of probably fear.
Yeah.
I was proud, of course, but excitement, but probably fear at that early stage. But then when you settle into your role there and you become confident, you start getting some good performances behind you. Like for me, there's no better place to run out of in the world, really. Like, particularly now, like the stadiums get the seating's getting higher, so the acoustics are getting better. It's getting louder. The crowd are incredibly close to the pitch. My resounding memories would be of the early season matches and the late season matches, so sort of September, October and May time, when you finish the game and you've just had a good win. You can see the Abbey on one side and the hot air balloons rising behind the stand on the other way. And yeah, it's a really special place to play. Like some of my most favourite memories of rugby and of life have been at the Rec, actually.
We spoke to Dave Atwood about the difference between playing international and club rugby, and he said that the atmosphere at the Rec he preferred playing there sometimes to playing at Twickenham, just because the atmosphere is constant throughout the game. Whereas obviously you've played at Twickenham as well. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. I think two things. Your home crowd is more passionate, probably more supportive. Generally, they're probably more supporters rather than fans for the most of them. There's a difference, I think. They're closer, and I think the setup of the Rec is such that it's literally you've been plonked in the middle of a historic city.
Yeah,
so
of course.
that adds to the atmosphere, and that you have a stronger affinity with your home ground than you do with your international ground, unless you don't play too many club matches and you're mostly rugby's played at international stadiums, which is true for a few guys in the past. But I'd agree with Dave on that one for sure. Yeah.
And what was it like getting your first England cap? Was you were you 19? At the
I was
time?
19. So mine was sort of probably a two-pronged story in that one as well. Like the first one, I was away in San Francisco, and I came off the bench against America as a 19-year-old, which was a bit of a whirlwind situation because I hadn't actually played a first-team game for Bath at that point, so it was a bit strange. Really cool, really special, but it's a bit strange. And then my probably first real memory was of my first start against Wales in Six Nations, which I was 22, 23 for, and that was at Twickenham. I was at home, and that was probably where I really sort of my first real feeling of international rugby, really, because it was a first start and it was in Six Nations and it was against Wales. It was a big game. So that was really special. Like I managed to sort of pick out my family in the crowd, and it's a pretty emotional time for them and for me. So that was pretty amazing. Yeah.
If you had to take one memory from your entire playing career and all the others were discarded, what memory would you keep as your favourite memory of your career?
On the pitch?
Playing. Yeah.
Playing. Good question.
Or I guess maybe one playing and one just maybe a moment from a tour or something that was really special to you.
I think the first time I faced my first haka was pretty special for me. Like I was always a big All Blacks fan growing up. I used to watch them and admire them and their players and the whole aura around the whole black jersey. So getting to experience the haka.
How was that?
Yeah, the first one I had was at Twickenham, which was fun, but I wasn't starting. I was on the bench, so that was a bit different. And the first one I experienced as a starter was in New Zealand, at Eden Park in Auckland. So that was pretty special. Like to see all the, as you know, like when the haka starts, the flashes go nuts around the stadium, and you're really aware of where you are. So that was a really big moment for me. I never probably growing up thought I'd ever face a haka or a proper haka in Eden Park. So that was a really proud moment that I'll never forget, I think.
And I guess on the contrary, has there been a moment that you could pick out that's maybe been your most frustrating playing moment, or a moment that really sticks out as?
I had a double fracture on my leg on a personal level. There's a double fracture of my leg at Gloucester, which was a bit harrowing. It was sort of a compound, so it came outside of my leg and got a bit messy. That was a fib fracture. Playing wise, there's been a few finals that we've played in. Probably the semi-final against Berwick's of the Heineken Cup was frustrating. Game we definitely should have won and would have taken us to a Heineken Cup final against Munster at Cardiff. If it wasn't for one of our boys just sliding in rather than trying to go over the line on his feet and the ball popped out, that was pretty frustrating. Yes, that's probably the most frustrating.
Over your career, has there ever been a moment that you've fallen out of love with rugby? Or has it been a constant? No. Speaking honestly, there's been. I think I came back from there was a period when I came back from 2007 World Cup, and before I started playing, actually, I came back, and I remember a few occasions when I would wake up in the morning for a game. One of them was against Tonga, actually, and I remember thinking that I should be far more excited about playing international rugby than I actually am, and I wondered why that was the case, if I was falling out of love. But there was a time actually immediately after the World Cup when I was thinking of taking a year off, just because I didn't really feel like I was probably as passionate about the game as the game probably deserved or what was required to perform at a high level. So I'm continuing a year off there, and there's been a couple of other times which have lasted like maybe a week or two when you're losing and stuff, but generally, I think the guys that have the happiest, most successful careers are the ones that keep reminding themselves how lucky they are and you never take it for granted. So I think falling out of love is normal. Like, you can't love everything all the time. That's not realistic, regardless of what you do. There's going to be certain things that crop up that will dampen your appetite or your love for whatever it is you do. But the most important thing is, I think, is that you realise if you're in a job that you got in the first place because you loved it, why you do it, that you're good at it, and that that you need to ride those periods rather than just get completely down yourself that you have completely fallen out of love with them. Yeah. Okay, slightly off topic.
Yeah.
We're going to move away from rugby for a minute. You must meet a lot of new people through your various business ventures or whatever you've been doing.
Yeah.
Do you have one particular conversation starter that you go to, an icebreaker?
In an informal situation or a formal situation?
Both.
Well, I suppose the formal situations are generally around dinner tables. If you get asked to go to dinners and stuff. Do you know what? I am really basic. I'd go with the usual, like what it is. Ask them what it is that they do.
Yeah.
I'm really into my music.
You don't try and throw anything funny.
No. Depends. Like, if the table's pissed, then you can chuck a few curveballs in. But no, generally not. You've got to be quite careful on dinners. I tend to go for the old, what kind of music are you into?
Yeah.
Because I'm really into my music, so I can get a taste for if we're going to get on or what their social activities might be.
So you're not going to get on with them if you don't like the same music.
Well, if they're not into music, there's a strong chance they're not going to be doing any sort of stuff that I'm going to be doing socially. I kind of know I've got to take it off in a different direction.
Yeah.
And try and find some common ground.
Yeah.
Because you can't find common ground.
Find something relatable. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and if they don't like their music, I'm not going to go and hammer them with a load of music chat for them to fall asleep in their dinner. So dinner's about finding common ground, because generally they're pretty painful. You're not going to enjoy a lot of them. So the sooner you can find common ground, the better you are, really.
And what are you listening to at the moment, music-wise? If we flick through your...
Yeah, I'm pretty one-dimensional in terms of like the music. I'm big into electronic music, so I listen to a lot of deep house, a lot of tech. I love all music. I love like pop music, and I love all the rest of it. But I'm probably into sort of your more for people that would know these artists. People like Hotson 82, Christoph, Butch, Icarus, Jonas Rasmussen, Eric Prydz, people like that.
It's quite a wide range of things.
Yeah. But I like lots of different stuff. Like my SoundCloud and my Spotify is probably pretty extensive with different music. So generally, like I'll be listening to pop electronic music usually. I usually wake up in the morning and usually run at about 130 beats a minute for the rest of the day.
Is there anything else you like to get up to in your spare time? Sort of hobbies that you might have? I mean, you mentioned before things you're doing with housing and.
Yeah, that's more. I do love that. I suppose it's not really a hobby anymore. It's more my career. But I love snowboarding. I love going away and being on the snow as much as I possibly can. When I was out in Hong Kong last year, I worked there for a year. We got to go to Japan, which was amazing to go ski out there and snowboard out there. Any chance I get, like particularly during planning phases, which I'm going through at the moment, I'll try and get away to. Well, my mum lives in Corfu, so I go and see her quite a bit. I'm going to Ibiza at the end of the month. I'm going to Mykonos in July. So I just try and go, just follow some decent sort of social spots where the music is decent, really. Yeah. I've got a pretty extensive summer, so at the moment my time in Bath is just really gears around recovery and trying to get myself back on track for the next time I go away, really.
I understand that you're in charge of some summer camps, rugby summer camps.
Yeah.
Did you want to tell us a bit about what you've
Yeah, sure. So we've had to drop them to 1 or 2 a year now because the guy I run it with, we're both really busy outside of them. But I started them in 2011 when I broke my leg actually to try and raise some money for a charity that I'm patron of. Yeah. So we called in a load of sponsors and it went really well. We raised quite a lot of money for the charity. So I was going to drop it after that one camp, but then we had quite a lot of requests from parents and stuff to carry them on. So we carried them on, and now I think, where are we now, 2017? So that's 6 years. We've run, I think, probably like 30, 40 camps the last 6 years. Had about 10, 15,000 kids through. So we've done, it's been great. It's been a great experience for us, but unfortunately at the moment, we're only able to run one a year. Which is at Milesford School now in Oxford, which is in October half term. But they've been great. Like we've had we have quite a wide range of product around them. So we have like a nutritional scheme program, and we have there's a session for inflatables and bungee runs and speed get. So it's quite wide varied the stuff. So we have lots of really good coaching, but we try and make it sort of as fun as possible. So it's for 7 to 14-year-olds. And the next one running is in October. There's a website which is electric3.com if people want to go.
And you say you're raising money for a charity?
Yeah, so the charity's NACOA. It's a National Association with Children of Alcoholics. Which
you're a patron of that charity, are you?
Which I became that about 6-7 years ago now. And 10% of all our profits go to them. Okay. So that's it's been fun, it's been great. It's nice to be able to give a bit back. I actually think that the chair you borrowed from me is far more comfortable.
If you could wake up in the body of one of your teammates from any team you've played for in the past and just spend one day as them, who would it be?
Good question.
Who would have the most epic life that you could just enjoy for a day and give it back?
It's a good question. You go a few different directions this one. I don't know whether you go for someone that's like, I always like, a bit of a cliche, but I'd like to be in Wilco's body for a day just to feel the level of intensity that he experiences. I know that Wilco's incredibly intense bloke, and I just like to experience how he feels about training and life and rugby in general for a day.
What he feels when he's walking around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like
be inside his head.
Yeah, a little bit, like to just experience what that would be like, because I know, great guy, and he's very, very intense, and he'll be one of the first to admit that. So I think that would be interesting to get into his head for the day, see how he feels. maybe David Flatman to see how much meat I could consume in one day. He tends to, he's maybe flats, but no, Wilco would be the best one, I think. Just to experience that level of intensity for a day and see what it's like.
Okay, cool. If you could have personally witnessed any moment from rugby or sporting history, I guess, what moment would it be that you
Actually being there at the
actually
time?
being there and witnessing an event firsthand that you really wish you could have seen, or maybe a moment from television in your childhood?
These are
that
the
you
questions that I
watched?
probably should have looked at first, weren't they, when you asked me an hour ago if I should look at the questions.
It's all right, because you would have thought of a few then, but the first one that comes to your head will be the...
First one that comes to my head is probably Usain Bolt won his first world record.
Okay.
Like, love to have been there. That'd been pretty special.
Yeah.
Things like witnessing Muhammad Ali on the ropes.
Yeah.
When he did the rope-a-dope,
Yeah.
stuff like that, which is like probably an iconic sporting tactic, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then another one would be something like, I don't know, being able to see like probably Michael Jordan like win a dunk contest in his prime.
That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, like when he did his.
Are you a big basketball fan? I think you said you played a bit
I
back
like
in the day.
basketball. Maybe see him dunk from the free throw line, which is everyone does it now.
Yeah.
People can do it now, but in a dunk contest. But when he did it, it was like
A pretty
no one had ever seen it. Yeah,
incredible
so
thing,
something
yeah.
like that would be quite cool. Yeah.
And finally, do you think 2017 has been a good year for rugby in general? Mainly in this country, but do you think that rugby is moving in a positive direction? Or
I do. I really do. I think that I think a few things are happening. I think there's a gap emerging in the top four. I think now, which I don't think is a good thing. But you know, let's hope that the gap encourages the other teams beneath them to catch up, rather than that expands to just become bigger.
Promotes an increase in quality of the whole league.
Absolutely. Yeah, maybe that will affect how creative clubs are in paying people, because you need to close that gap. You need a lot of things, but one thing you definitely need is better players and a better squad, deeper squad. I think it's been great for the rugby that Saracens haven't got to the final of the Premiership.
I was going to say, do you think what Exeter have done this year
amazing,
really shows the rest of the rugby world what can be done?
Absolutely, I think they've been inspirational in the way they've done things. Has been great, and so I don't mean that in any disrespect to Saracens. I think they're an incredible team and they've done superbly well, but I think it's good for the rugby in England that people don't just look at the final and they see Saracens and everything, because that could be quite demotivating for people. If they see Exeter's done it and the journey they've gone through, I think that's great for the side. I think England are in a really, really good place at the moment. We've seen from the Argentina fixture, there's a lot of good players coming through from underneath, and there's a lot of those young guys now are going to be pushing for World Cup places next year. We'll see how the Lions get on. They're not flying too high at the moment, but I'm sure that they'll come good when it really matters in the test matches. The laws need to be looked at a little bit to ensure that the tackle area doesn't become an absolute joke. And I think you've seen a few different things, different international sides coming through the last couple of years. So I think it's been a decent year. I think it's been a steady. I think the Premiership is going to be really proud of its year this year, though. I think it's going to be really.
I think it's going to be exciting next season.
Definitely. But I think the biggest thing for me is to see a team like Wasps come back from where they were, as in terms of the leader in English rugby, and then drop away and now come back again, and then a side like Exeter play. To have those two sides in the final has been great for English rugby, I think.
I think that's everything.
Cool.
Thanks for being here.
No worries. Cheers, thanks for having me. Cheers.
Thank you.